Yes. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Whole Dat Show. Now, I'm a bit under the weather, but we have to bring out this video to you because of what happened this weekend. Now, obviously, there are games going on right now, and if you have Amazon Prime, you've got a wonderful selection of games. But what happened this weekend to my club and to my co-host club, we will be discussing, and we will be also discussing a few other games as well that we particularly enjoyed during the weekend. This is recorded before the games of the week, and we will be doing a pod on Friday for that. So this is for the last game week, and we begin. I let my co-host introduce himself.
Yeah. Obviously, we hope Margie feels better. You know, this time of the year, it's always a bit peak, especially in London. Everyone don't know how to look after themselves and want to spread their germs onto everyone else. But it is what it is. But we're gonna talk about his bum ass team. We're gonna talk about how he folded against Wolves. I was watching the game live with man. Yeah, and then I rewatched it again. You know, it was a good sight to see. It was so bad that man actually started to support Wolves. I ain't gonna let you slide on that one, Margie.
What do you mean? Big win,
Like,
big home win.
y-
Oh,
yeah, exactly, fam. Tony, you're back on Chelsea, fam. You're terrible, fam. Shocking. But you know what is where it is. We're gonna discuss that. We're gonna talk about my team dropping points at home. We had certain Arsenal players saying that was a hard fought draw. We did our best, but you got guys like Mohamed Salah, guys like Endo posting that wasn't good enough. We need to be winning games. That is the mentality of my club compared to their club. They're happy with a draw. We're not happy with a draw, and we should have won that game. And we're gonna go and discuss that.
yeah, exactly. We'll start off with my team because it's the less significant fixture, but it was a pure classic mid-table clash. Now, there is a couple things that I want to talk about in regards to that game and the first half. And I mean, I've watched plenty of football in my time, but I've never watched players that had so bad decision making when it came to when to pass, when to shoot, how to control a ball, how to do the things going forward. Um, Initially after the game, I was blaming Poch, but watching it back, looking at what happened in that first half, the highlights, and watching the game, it's just attacking incompetence from all players. Um, One of the biggest moments and the best players on the pitch was Sterling, but it doesn't mean anything if at the moment that you need to do something, big 28, 29-year-old needs to lead by example and make the right decision, either pass the goalkeeper and slot it in, or pass to your teammates and let them score. You decide to kick it in straight at the goalkeeper. That right there is a momentum shifter. That right there lost us the game in many ways. Obviously, defensively we weren't the best. I would say that corners we seem to be doing this week in week out. I don't know what they're coaching on the corners. We have a bunch of 6 foot plus brothers, and none of them can actually defend a corner. It's a joke. So I'm gonna blame Poch on that because his coaching and his coaching staff on corners has been terrible this season, and that needs to be changed. In terms of the front players, there's nothing he can do about a poor touch, about a bad decision making, um, not being able to finish your dinner in these games, especially games where we need every point we can get. We've had a terrible start to the season. We need the 3 points over this Christmas period because we're trying to at least get a European spot or put some momentum towards down. But it's just as though we go 5 steps forward, 10 steps back. One game good performance, one game bad performance, one game good performance, one game bad performance, and it's been a cycle of attacking, not intelligence, but just dumb decisions. And for me, um, it shows the naivety and the youngness of the squad, and we do need experience in all sides of the pitch. Even Thiago Silva, the man who's supposed to be experienced, was making defensive errors, tripping over the ball and stuff towards the second half. And once they got the bullet header, I'll be honest, I switched teams because I knew what was happening. I knew what was coming next. We were We weren't scoring goals. I knew we were gonna lose the game one way or another. Like, we had all the chances in the first half to finish the game, wrap it up 3-4-0. And second half, we allow Lamina, of all people, to score a header. But then in the 90th minute, when you're meant to be concentrating, letting another goal cheap. And by the time we score, it's too late. It's too late. And Kunku's got more goals than Hoyland, and people been saying that on Twitter, but I'm tired of people saying stuff like that. Yeah? I'm tired of these Twitter fans talking S about other teams and talking to other teams when we're below those teams. We're below that Man United squad. They've scored 18 goals. Our attacking trio has scored 18 goals. We shouldn't be laughing at teams. We should be focusing on ourselves. And for me, the players, some of these players are arrogant. Some of these players aren't willing to put in the hard yards. And some of these players need that discipline. And if it's not coming from the manager, because Pochettino's moving out soft out here, at halftime, he should have took off Sterling. Moments like that, when a player does it, makes a selfish decision, you have to have the cojones as a manager to take that player off at halftime or then and there. Because in the end of the day, if you want authority from the players, you need to show, oh, you're going to not play for the team? Get off. Like, remember the Titans. You know? If you don't play for the team, they're going to take you off the team. And it's either going to be the captain or it's going to be the manager. Now, for me, defensively sloppy in corners. It was inevitable you're going to concede more. We were lucky to score a goal, to be honest, because Nkunku's the only intelligent attacker we have. The fact he's 5'0" scoring a header, disgraceful. And overall, I just think Pochettino needs to stop doing this. Centre backs at full back. Needs to stop putting players that aren't good enough to be on the 10. People talk about Gallagher and saying he's our best player. That's a problem. He's a mid-table player. He's a West Ham Crystal Palace elite player. He's not good enough for our squad. So people complain about him going. He has to go. You need to improve on players like that. He doesn't have the technical ability to open up teams. The 10 has to be a dribbler and creative. The 10s I used to watch, the Ronaldinhos, the Kakas, the Zidanes, elite level players that were able to do things for themselves and for others.
Hazard.
Yeah, Hazard. I saw a couple clips on Twitter. You see Hazard, the difference between Hazard and Sterling. Hazard, multiple players around him, gets around the keeper, slots it in, easy as you like. That's the level difference of what we used to be and what we are now. This Nicholas Jackson thinking he's Drogba. He ain't Drogba. No. Sterling ain't Hazard. And none of these attackers are good enough outside Palmer. Palmer's shown some spirit, but he can't be our best attacker. And Conor Gallagher can't be our best midfielder. That's not good enough. So when people say, oh, you spent $1 billion, look at the billion we spent. We spent on the under 22, 23 South American teams. We got more Brazilians and South Americans. We should be we should be done for trafficking, human trafficking. The amount of players we getting from over there, ridiculous. This January we need to get experienced man. We need an experienced winger. We need an experienced striker, and we need an experienced midfielder that allows us to be better. We need a 10. We need a winger, a left winger to teach Mudryk how to play. Because Sterling isn't teaching them anything. He's just teaching them selfish tendencies. Hell, I was so upset. I made a FIFA career mode and I sold him straight away. He went to Liverpool. I got him out of there. That's how upset I was.
Did you really?
Yeah, straight like that.
I've
Straight like that. Gone. P45 in the morning. Anyway, that's all I want to say about the game. Obviously, Luke, you watched the game. Once you get up, you can talk about the game and in a non-biased perspective. And I want to know what other fans believe of my team and of the game, because you watched it with me and you saw what happened live and direct.
Oh, Marty, you kill me, man, every time, bro. But yeah, nah. You know what? Yeah, I watched the game in it, and as much as I was bantering you in it and all of that, like, even I said it. Like, there were times here where you was getting in position. I was like, go on. Like, even I was trying to root for your team, and I don't even like your team like that. But when you're just watching the game live and you're trying to root for a specific player, you want that player to do good, like Jackson. Like, and he's just not helping himself. Like, there was a time where a ball got right into his foot. Instead of him controlling with his left, man allowed the ball to go under his foot. And it's like, It's just the simple basics. I don't know whether it's his confidence is low. I don't know if it's a case of he's overthinking it. I just don't know what's going on with him right now. And we could say, oh, why not look to Broha? But even when Broha was there, Broha did the exact same thing. Like no one was trying to take the initiative, take the game by the scruff of the neck, and try and be a match winner. No one was trying to be a match winner until Nkuku came on, and we both knew that the minute Nkuku was gonna go and he was gonna do something because that's just the level of quality that he has as a player. But for me, I said this to Margie, like the best player in that that match uh evidently was the worst player in that match. And the best player in that match was Sterling because at the end of the day, everything that he did, he created. All the ball was flowing through him. He was the one willing to dribble to take on players. He was the one that was trying to find players in terms of trying to create space to try pass to someone. And I think for me, when he was in that situation, I think that he couldn't be asked to pass because he saw it as Broha was shocking, Jackson was shocking, and there was before that moment happened. I remember he passed to both Broha and Jackson in similar situations, and they couldn't control the ball. They didn't shoot. There was even a moment where Broha had the ball. He skipped past one player. Instead of him to shoot, he got his foot tangled. So I think in Raheem Sterling's mind, he probably thought, you know what, bun you two, because yeah, if I was to square it, you probably could score because it would have been a sweaty. But I think for him, he just thought, fuck this, like I'm just gonna do this myself. At the end of the day, like you don't want a player to think like that. You always want to have the confidence of your teammates. And in that situation, regardless if I saw my strikers fumble the bag, I would pass because ultimately it's all about the sweat. Like I love doing sweat. So for me, if I see a goalkeeper's coming out, I'll just pass because ultimately my man's gonna go, and either way, I still get an assist anyway. My team wins the game. Boom! It's like we're winning. But I think for Sterling's man, that could probably. I'm only playing devil's advocate. That's probably the only thought that went through his mind in a case where I passed to you two numerous of times and you man fumbled the bag over the easiest chances. I'm gonna try to do it myself. Ultimately, it cost Chelsea the game. Um, because he didn't pass and he was selfish. And yeah, I agree with Marjube. In that situation, I probably would have taken Sterling off because that's the most easiest chance you're ever gonna go get. Your 3v1 and you pass the ball to the goalkeeper. I would have made a statement there and then and taken him off. I would have. And by making a statement and doing that means that you're the man, you're the head coach, and the players need to be listening to you. I think in that situation, I think Poch powered himself away. Um, and obviously that moment there just allowed Wolves to come back in the game. And at the end of the day, if you don't take your chances, we always say this, if you don't take your chances, the other team will. And there were warning signs anyway before that moment happened that Wolves were gonna score. So I just think it was a case of I think it's easy to blame Sterling, but ultimately he does deserve the blame because that was the chance to be 1-0 up. But in my opinion, even if Chelsea were 1-0 up, Wolves were still dominant anyway. So for me, even if you did score that goal, there was ample amount of opportunities for Wolves to come back in the game anyway. Your midfield was non-existent. Your defense was all over the place. I don't know what was going on with Badashile and Disasi. Like, and then the corner to allow Lamina to score with Chukwuku, how he wasn't in front of him or side on the opposite side to challenge. Like, it was just the simple basics that's not being done as a defender. And I just felt like, as I said, even if Sterling did make the decision to pass, you guys probably would have dropped points anyway, because Wolves this season have just been on a different level. They've beaten Man City. They've gone to our various different grounds and played the big teams and caused an upset against them. There's no real reason why Chelsea wouldn't be the next team. So I just think for me, well done to Wolves again. Again, I'll say I was one of those guys that thought Gary O'Neill was a bum. I didn't think he was good enough, but he's gone to Wolves, and whether it's momentum, whether it's confidence, he's doing something right. And he's coaching these players well, and we're seeing players perform at a high level right now at Wolves, and I won't be surprised if certain mans get the call up from bigger teams come the summer. Huang Chang could get a call up. Pedro Neto, it's about time he gets a call up as well. That Nori kid at left wing back, he's someone that I actually wouldn't mind having as a replacement for Andrew Robertson. I think he's a decent baller. Um, so there's guys there that could get that phone call. And I won't be surprised if they do. But yeah, fair play to Wolves, keep going. In Chelsea's point of view, again, it's good to see that chances are being created, but it's very worrying to see that the lack of decision making, and in terms of the strikers, the lack of confidence that you have. We all know that when it comes to number nines, Nicolas Anelka, Didier Drogba, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, these men were killers. They were ready for the ball. Like, when it came to their moment, they stood up. Even if they were going on a goal drought, eventually they will come good. For me, I just don't feel like Nicholas Jackson, with the goal drought that he's on, I don't feel that he's gonna come good. I said this before and I'll say it again. He's not someone that should be leading the line. He's someone that should be coming off the bench and building his confidence up that way. You guys need an Ivan Tony to lead the line, to show him what to do, to be that understudy, to learn, and then eventually, maybe play the both of them two together. Or maybe, yeah, Jackson comes off the bench and does a thing. But I just think for now, like, these guys are just too young to lead the line. I don't think they're ready at all. And I think if worse comes worse, then maybe put someone else in that position. Like, I don't know, like maybe put Palmer in that position, or like a Mudrick. Mudrick is got pace. He can beat a man, or maybe put it in Cuckoo. In Cuckoo played there for RB Leipzig. I don't know, like, do something. Like, I just don't think them two are ready to lead that line. And Cuckoo's got his first goal, so I'm happy to see that. He's someone that, Margie did say when he did return, he could be a breath of fresh air and could take the team to another level. So I think having the likes of Nkuku and Cole Palmer in the team is going to be great, because those two are probably your best creative players. But I think if I was Poch, I'd probably look at dropping Brohart and Jackson, maybe putting Nkuku in a striker position because he can play there, or if not, then maybe have Mudrick there because of his pace is frightening, and have Nkuku behind him and have those two interchanging. But you got to do something ultimately, because, like, even if you played like three at the back and played your two strikers and had Mudrick and Nkuku, but you guys have to do something, because, like, as much as I banter Chelsea and banter Marju, I've always said this. Like, I always want to see big teams where they're supposed to be, and I'm sick and tired of seeing Chelsea just floundering down the table because they shouldn't be there. You spent the billion, and granted, the billion wasn't actually experienced dons. It was for the future. Like, right now, I want to be seeing Chelsea climb up that table. Whether Poch is the right man for it, I have my doubts, but you have him now. So, I want to see you guys climb up that table. I want to see changes made. I want to see that three at the back. You got a plethora of centre backs to make it happen. You got and Enzo, and you got Caicedo. That could be the McAllister and the Caicedo combination, there. But the Enzo is Argentine as well as McAllister, so that combo could work. I don't want to see Conor Gallagher as the 10, because he's not a 10. He's shocking. He just reminds me of Henderson for some reason. So, he should even be starting the game. I want to see Cole Palmer in the 10, because that is his position. He's your creative don. I want to see that guy there. If Nkuku ain't playing that position, then put Cole Palmer there, and then put Nkuku up front. I want to see Mudrick on the left, Sterling on the right, or even Madweke. Like, I think that guy is a baller. And I think he needs to get more game time. to my knowledge, I think he's been injured. So okay, fair enough. But I think he needs to start getting into that team because that guy's got a talent. He's got a big ceiling ahead of him. I think he's technically great. I think he's got pace on him. His decision making ain't that bad, and I just think he's a talent. So I think Medweke, or however you say his name, he needs to be in that team 100%. Drop Sterling, put that guy on that right hand side because I think he's a baller. Um, and if you make those changes, you should be able to climb up that table. But whether Potter's got the balls to do all of those things, I don't know. And the buck stops with the manager. We can complain about these players all we want, say this needs to happen, that needs to happen, but the buck ultimately stops with Poch. And Poch isn't really showing any signs of doing anything right now. And as you evidently said, if we were managers, we would have dropped Sterling in that second half. My man didn't make the change until what, maybe 10 minutes into the second half. And then even then, Sterling was still on the pitch. So that just goes to show you the manager that you have, bro. And I'll end on that.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's enough on that team and game. We move on to the biggest fixture of the weekend, the fixture that a lot of people had a lot of riding on. Liverpool Arsenal, two teams, number one and two. Both teams needing 3 points because the big shark Man City is around. They've gone away to UAE, Dubai, I think, Saudi or whatever, to win the Club World Cup. So every point counts, especially when they're a part of the chasing pack. But the game turned out to be a 1-1 draw. Um, a lot of controversial things happened in that game that we will talk about. Bad mistakes from the Liverpool attack, bad refereeing, and a lot of things that didn't go the way of certain teams and players. The initial thing we're going to talk about is the Odegaard handball. McDermott on Sky Sports said it was a penalty, and I absolutely believe it was a penalty. Man was playing basketball on a football pitch. Man was Luka Doncic. Man thought he was every white basketballer in the world. Man, behind the back to get away. And the fact that the ref and the VR did not see that as a penalty, as a blatant movement of the hand towards the ball. Slipping doesn't make you touch the ball like that. When you slip, you're able to control where your hands go. It was very obvious that he moved his hands towards the ball. It was very obvious that he moved his hands to take the ball away from the players, and it should have been a blatant penalty. That's one point. In terms of the game, both teams had a lot of chances. I think Liverpool had the better chances. There was even one point where they were 5-on-1, and guess what? Guess what, Sterling? Salah made the pass. Unfortunately, it bubbled up a bit, and Trent, hit the bar. But that's a chance that Liverpool should have taken. And I think Liverpool will be very disappointed in their attack. I think it was very similar to my game in the sense of they had a bunch of chances and their players weren't willing to put it in the back of the net. And Arsenal are very lucky to get away with the point, in my opinion. I think they had points where they were good during the game, and they had chances as well. But I think overall, if you look at the totality of the game, Liverpool should have won this. It should have been a comfortable win for them. And they go away worse for wear because at home, you need to win your games. The reason why Arsenal are happy with the away point is because it's Anfield. It's a stadium that they don't win at. So for them, a point is like a win. In the end of the day, Sir Alex Ferguson says it best. When you're facing your rivals away, just get a point. Every other game you win, but away at Anfield, away at Etihad, away at the bigger teams, you need a point. So this shows that that's why Arsenal would be the happier club. But I would like to get your opinion on the game and the decision making. And overall, I think the referees were very cowardice in the way they refereed the game. They lost control of the game at parts. And a lot of the decision went against your team, and it was a very frustrating game to watch. As a neutral, I was there for the chaos. I was wanting one team to win at least, and I think Liverpool should have been that team. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and speak your piece about the game and what you felt about everything within the match.
Yeah, I feel like every week I'm talking about the refs in a Liverpool game, and I think it's just evident that they don't want Liverpool to succeed. They don't want Liverpool to win a game. It's evident. This isn't the first time that we've been screwed out of a decision. You know, we talk about the Luis Diaz quote unquote offside. You know, that happened, and there's been various different decisions that haven't gone our way that we should have won. You know, red cards that's gone against us, which hasn't been a red, but we've been given a red. And I said this to Margie, but I just felt like that match was a clear sign that the refs wanted Arsenal to be top of the table. You know, it's no surprise that Dermot came out a few weeks ago saying that referees are told to make certain decisions to try and make the league interesting. There's no coincidence that that game, clear handball wasn't given. You know, the Luis Diaz offside wasn't given a goal. It's just clear. It's clear as day that the FA want this league to be interesting. The FA want a certain teams to win. The FA are against Liverpool. It's clear as day. And I can't be asked to keep going on about referees because I just feel like the game against Burnley, we're probably going to get a decision against us. You know, it's just how it is. But ultimately, in terms of the overall game, I'm disappointed. You know, we didn't take our chances. You know, the first 5 minutes, Arsenal started strong, as you need to when you go to Anfield, when you go to the Etihad, you have to take the game to the bigger team. And that's what they did. But the minute Liverpool managed to find their rhythm, the minute they managed to calm down, you know, they managed to feed off of the crowd's energy. It was game over. It was easy work for Liverpool in terms of domination, in terms of control, in terms of possession, in terms of creating opportunities. We were on point, and it wasn't until maybe the last 10 minutes where Arsenal managed to find their footing again. Like we should have won that game. It's as clear as that, you know. It's opportunities like that maybe Darwin Nunes should have came on a bit earlier or maybe even should have started. But again, it's all just hypothetics. Again, it just goes to show that we need a natural number nine that's just gonna be a finisher, that's gonna be a killer. You know, guys like Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins, you know, in those situations, they would bury it. You know, in those situations, when you feed them, they'll be able to get you 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3. They'll be able to score and bag you, and we just didn't have any gunman on the pitch that, you know, was willing to take those opportunities. Yes, Salah did his job. You know, he was a nightmare for Zinchenko. Zinchenko didn't know what to do in that game, and I think he was probably happy that Salah got put um centre forward position because he had a day off. But I think if that was me, don't change what's working. You know, put Salah against Zinchenko again. You know, and that could turn into from a draw to a 3 points. Yeah, Trent, you know, it is where it is. You know, he should have scored that. And I don't even want to blame the bobble of the ball. At the end of the day, everybody knows that you should not be leaning back and side footing. You should be following through and swatting that ball as hard as you can to get into the back of the net. So I'm not blaming the bobble. I'm blaming Trent in that situation. He's well experienced. He knows what to do when it comes to striking a ball, and he didn't do that. But yeah, it is 3 points dropped. And this is probably our sixth draw. I think it is in the league, probably a bit more than that. We can't be drawing, you know. When Rafa Benitez was at our team, we lost the league by 3 points to Manchester United. I think it was 2008 to 2009. We lost that league because we drew most of the games. Again, we're halfway into the season and we've probably got quite a lot of draws. Like, we should not be drawing at all. We should be winning games. And these draws are going to be the death of our season. These draws could ultimately turn a winning season into just the top four, and that's it. Um, right now, I would have liked us to win because Man City are back. They're going to be back. And they're going to use the fuel of them winning that Club World Cup as ammunition to go on and win the league. We know what Man City are like. Around this period is where they start to kick on and is where they start to build momentum. And Liverpool just didn't take their chance. And ultimately, yeah, like we can say around this time, Liverpool and City tend to kick on, which is true, we do. But right now, we should have kicked on time ago, and we're still waiting for that moment. We're still waiting. So, yeah, very disappointing game. I'm happy to see though that we were creating chances because in matches against Manchester United, Sheffield, Crystal Palace, we were struggling to create opportunities. But against Arsenal, we were dominant. So it was good to see that we still have that creativity. We know how to create, which is good. Again, the frustration is the fact that we just did not bury. What I will say though is I will shout out a couple players. Saliba was on point, absolutely on point. He was incredible. I think we look at the likes of Van Dijk and Konate, especially Konate because those two are age mates and they're compatriots. I think France has got one hell of a plethora of centre backs to their leisure, and I feel like France should be winning Euros and World Cups for years to come because the department in defense that they've got in terms of partnership is just on the next level. I think it was good to see Konate and Saliba step up and show their quality. I think Saliba was just outstanding, and it just goes to show that if he does get an injury, Arsenal season is over because he really did keep them in it. Konate was on point. Van Dijk was on point. I have to give a shout out to Endo. Endo was on point in that game, and I feel like he's been growing in confidence game by game. The more that he's starting, the more that he's playing in the Premier League. I still say we need to go out and sign the number six though, because I just think someone of his age isn't going to be around forever, isn't going to be able to play week in, week out just because of his legs. But I think just for now, I think he's actually been on point. I'm glad to see that Klopp is starting him. I think he's been good. He was sensational against Arsenal. He didn't put a foot wrong. He controlled the game very well. He controlled the midfield very well against Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice was shocking that game. He didn't turn up at all. Um, and Bukayo Saka didn't turn up. You know, this was the one time that people always comparing Saka to Salah. I don't get why, because it's just that's like comparing, I don't know, fucking Rapinha to Lionel Messi. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that was the one time where Saka needed to step out and actually show Salah Wagwan, and that it just did not happen. Um, he was silent in that game. Martinelli was silent yet again. I think questions need to be asked of Martinelli because his form has been shocking. I feel sorry for Luis Diaz. I think he's injured again. This is the second time that Arsenal have injured him. Bukayo Saka has injured him. And he hasn't um, come back from his first initial injury. So I feel sorry for him because he's probably not going to come back again after this second injury. Joe Gomez came on and dominated on that left hand side. He kept Saka quiet. So shout out to him as well. I think we're starting to see the best of Joe Gomez again, which is great to see. But yeah, everyone pretty much put in a shift and did well. To be fair, I can't really complain from that perspective. But yeah, we should have won the game. And that's all I gotta say.
Oh, also was Simicast injured as well?
Yeah, Simicast got injured as well from the clash with Saka going into Klopp, so he got injured. So it will mean that Joe Gomez will play left back until when Andrew Robertson is back in January, which will be soon. To be fair, so it's not that much of a loss, but again, injuries are playing a big part in all of our seasons. To be fair, and that ultimately boils down to the FA, UEFA, and FIFA just overworking the players and not giving these players rest.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of extra tournaments, extra games for no reason. The Nations League pointless. The Carabao Cup extra games, good tournament, but just extra games that are putting extra pressure on players. But before we go, is there any other games that you want to talk about before we finish off this quick show?
Yeah, I want to talk about Fulham Burnley. I think Fulham's been on a momentum. The last couple games they won their games 5-1, 5-0. Um, so evidently Fulham at home playing against Burnley, you would have thought that Fulham would have won that game, but Burnley had a game plan. You know, they that they played compact. They allowed the pressure to come onto them in terms of Fulham playing, and they were able to just play their way. And they were brilliant goals that Fulham scored. You know, it was long range goals just outside of the box. I'm actually happy for Burnley. I think Burnley play fantastic football. I think in the games that Burnley have played, for most part of their games, they've actually dominated the teams, but they've never actually got points from it because obviously, if you play expansive football with the quality players that they have, which is lacking compared to other teams, evidently they are gonna lose or they are gonna draw. But I think it's just nice to see that they went to a tough away game in Fulham, and they were able to get two goals and a clean sheet as well, which is very rare. I think shout outs to that Trafford kid. I think he's a quality goalkeeper, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone like a Everton says, you know what, Pickford, you boy down, I need this guy in, or Manchester United is like, oh no, no, you know, you're not doing good this season, let's bring this kid in. Or even Chelsea, I think Chelsea should be looking at him as well. I think Sanchez is okay, but I don't think Sanchez is of a studded quality that we know of, like a Peter Check. You know, I think Trafford is a decent goalkeeper, and I think he's someone that we should be looking out for in the next 5 years because I do believe that he will potentially get a big move soon. I think he's good enough for it as well. But yeah, that game was a fantastic game. Obviously, Liverpool's got Burnley tonight at 5:30, I believe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. Obviously, Burnley's lost out of their 9 home games, so I expect Liverpool to get a win today. And I expect us to dominate that game, to be honest. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out that the Burnley and that game because I'm very impressed with Vincent Company, and even if he were to go down, I think a team in the lower half of the table, like a Crystal Palace, who Roy Hodgson will most likely retire at the end of this season, I reckon Crystal Palace should be going after someone like a Burnley, Vincent Company, because I think yeah, he plays good football, man, and he deserves the plaudits, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Good win away to Fulham. Another big win this weekend, well, last weekend was West Ham at home to Man United. Um, yeah, I think West Ham have showed that they have the capability of winning big games when they're about it. You know, they've had certain games where they've lost, certain games where they draw, but yeah, David Moyes, after the successes of last season, winning the Conference League and then the summer making some of the best signings of the transfer window, you see the team and the play, and a lot of people thought, oh, he couldn't do it with these quality ballers, but you see Bowen, you see Kudos, you see Lucas Paqueta, and you look at them and they look better than the attack of United, and player for player, they're better. They're showing it on, on the pitch. Two beautiful goals. Um, Man United just look lost, and it annoys me every day that we made them look good because yeah, man, Poch, that's a sackable offense really because ever since then they've been looking bummy out here. I'm bet you're annoyed that you didn't defeat them as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
show it, seeing how they've played in other games and the way they're playing. I mean, it's about it's about time that they move on from Ten Hag and with Ineos and the group buying their 25%. It's going to be very interesting to see how they change up the team in the footballing sense, who they bring in the DOF, who they bring in the manager, and how they change in terms of transfer windows and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting time for Man United after a poor season where they've broken every single type of record. Most goals conceded in the Champions League group, out fourth, didn't even make Europa League. A striker that hasn't scored a goal in the Premier League, an attack that isn't scoring any goals really. 18 goals, only one team has scored less than them. So it's just shocking, defensively shocking, offensively shocking, and a team that needs changes sooner rather than later. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I definitely agree. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do, whether they will give Eric Ten Hag a full rest of the season or whether they will sack him in January if results go their way, because evidently they're going to want their guy. And I think the one worrying thing that Eric Ten Hag should have at the back of his mind is this guy, number one, is a United fan, which means that he knows the successes that United used to have back in the day, which means that he's hungry for United to get back to where they are, which he's obviously stated. So if Eric Ten Hag does lose any more games, I won't be surprised if the man already have a manager in the waiting. Um, and then they will sack him to bring this guy in, and that's the one major thing when it comes to takeovers, or is that you're not their guy no more. You know, you're potentially a temporary caretaker. You know, you're a substitute teacher. You know, and you're holding down the reins until you slip up, and then they'll bring someone else in. So I think Eric Ten Hag needs to be worried. And it's good stuff. I don't know what they're going to do, whether or not, if it's a case of they're going to sack all the players and bring new people in, because again, they're probably going to need 3 to 5 years in terms of transfer window wise for them to remedy that squad, because there's a lot of mans there on high wages, and teams are just not going to pick them up because they're on that high wages. So they've got a huge task on their hand, and the DOF has got a huge task on their hand. But it's promising signs for Manchester United. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do over the next couple years as well. I'm not worried because obviously my team is doing what they need to do. Chelsea shouldn't really be worried anyway because they've got the solid foundation of the young kids already. They just evidently need experienced guys, and they potentially might just need a new manager. To get the best out of the current crop that they have, because maybe Poch is just not up to it. And I think teams like Arsenal and City shouldn't really be worried either, because Arsenal's got the solid foundation, they've got the base, City is City. So I think all the teams up in that area shouldn't really be worried about United anytime soon. But it's just good to see that obviously they finally got their move, and hopefully they'll go in the right direction.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Before we go, we got a couple things we want to say. Hold out Man United, lost. Hold out Newcastle, lost to Luton. That's a shock. Hold out Everton, hold out Forest, and hold that my club, Chelsea Football Club. And hold that Oiland. Another day, another game with no goals. Even Kunku scored before you did. Ha 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 ha. Ew, our team is shit.
Hey, did you see that meme again? My man, the singer guy did another
Yeah,
song video again,
he's
and
doing
this
video
time the
every
ball
time.
was close. The ball was closer to the actual goal line.
Yeah, he's taking the piss. Like
He
the
actually
the
is.
collage of memes of their players is just unbelievable this season. I shouldn't be laughing too much because my team is just that bad. We probably could have our own collage, but yeah, I gotta lie. Troops and Czar as Sancho and half Wan-Bissaka gets me every time when they dancing and that. But yeah, um, that's it for the whole that show. We're gonna be back on Friday to talk about the fixtures over the midweek. Fixtures coming thick and fast. This is it's gonna be a long period of the season. Teams are gonna need to start performing. Man City are gonna be back around, so they're gonna be starting on the hunt for Liverpool and Arsenal, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in the race for the title, the top four race, and the race for European spots, because there's a lot of variables and factors. But my team isn't involved. Road to 40 points. Yeah, we doing it again. That's on you, Poch. And on you, Sterling. I don't care. I did sell you. I sold you for 5 million. Yeah, I didn't sell you for no money. I was getting rid of you one way or another. But anyway, I'm gonna finish my career mode and do what my club can't do and win a trophy. It's a long season. But that's been the holdout show. I'm ill as hell. That's been Luke Adonis. I've been Abdallah Yini. And we out. Peace.
Peace.